Hey listeners, it's Paul Andriola here. Why not join our community at Small Cap Discoveries, where we offer our members direct access to some of the best microcap investment opportunities available. Our members are getting access to premium microcap financings, research reports, and direct access to management. Sign up today at www.smallcapdiscoveries.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today on our call, we have the CEO, Travis McIntyre from CanadaBis Capital, or CanadaBis, trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol CANB, CANB, and it also trades on the OTC under CNADF. The company is currently trading at 22.5 cents with about 138 million shares outstanding, or about a $31 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola.
Thanks a lot, Trevor. Great to have Travis back. It's been a little while since we got an update, and lots has obviously happened over the course of the last number of months here. So Travis, great to have you back. Always looking forward to these kind of updates. Before we sort of jump into an update, for those listening that aren't familiar with CanadaBis, tell us a little bit about the business, what you guys are good at, and then we can jump into some questions.
Yeah, appreciate it, Paul. Thanks very much, and thanks for always great to be on the show here and on the recordings. I think you guys do an amazing job, and you know, for all the listeners, it's really the truth that matters. So again, appreciate it. CanadaBis Capital really is our public shell company for Stigma Grow. We have several brands. DabBods is probably our most recognizable brand in the Canadian cannabis space. We really focus on value-added products. So what we look for is you know, some lower input pricing, good quality products. We have 9 growers that grow for us, and then what we do is we transform that into, again, value-added products. Meaning cannabis 2.0, 3.0 products, from vape carts, infused pre-rolls, standard flower with concentrates mixed into it, all sort of products that really, all done in-house, can take a 15-cent gram of cannabis and turn it into, you know, an MSRP of $30 or $35 a package on the Canadian market. So we strive ourselves on being a fairly low cost producer with great quality and repeatability. And I, over the last 24 months of showing that positivity in the market from, you know, a bottom line that actually makes sense. We really work on doing the best we can for our shareholders by providing a real company and not a smoke and mirrors stock play per se, a pump and dump style. We really focus on that company core values, and I guess it's worked out well so far, and provides a bit of a, you know, a better feeling in the cannabis space, I'd say, than what you have somehow currently presented in some of the other players. So again, yeah, appreciate you guys being having me on the show.
Awesome. So you're smack in the middle of the cannabis industry. You know a lot, obviously, more than we do about some of the trends that are happening in the business. Why don't we sort of jump from a 64,000 foot level and talk to us a little bit about kind of what's happening. You know, before we jumped on air here, we talked about some of the consolidation that you feel is necessary. Maybe let's talk about a broader sort of view on what's going on in the space.
Yeah, for sure. I think lots is going on, from the Canadian excise tax hurting a lot of people. There's a lot of, you know, I'm going to say hubble right now over and being bullies on some of the taxation that's isn't being paid by, you know, some of the other companies. There's, you know, some gloom and doom around that. It's a lot of CCAAs. However, there's still some good players in the space, good, honest business type players that, you know, control some costs. They don't go out and spending like a drunken sailor, and actually, you know, create some value for their companies. And I just don't think that they've been either identified or in the light that they probably deserve in this space. And it's been overshadowed by the huge losses of, the big five or big six, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to start to come to light, I think, over the next 12, 18 months, where our true belief is that some consolidation is going to happen. And that's going to, lay the path for a medium to medium large size corporation owning, maybe 7 to 10% of the market share, but still being positive as a bottom line. And that's really our focus. And like you said before we got on air here, we were talking about how's that to be done, or what can that look like? And I think really a combination of 2 or 3 good players or good companies will lead that path forward, looking like a rose.
You mentioned excise tax. That's the more we talk to other players in the industry, that's become a real serious sort of hot potato. You get a whole bunch of players that are not paying their excise tax and are kind of getting a bit of a free ride here a little bit. But then also the discussion of a potential of big change in the excise tax. I think some people are looking to this budget here next month, the federal budget, that there might be some changes there. What can you say more to that? What kind of impact would your business have if there was a say a lowering of excise tax? And what's your thoughts on how the industry should really police those that aren't paying the excise tax?
For us, it would be instrumental. I mean, the fact that we have a lot of concentrates in our portfolio means that we pay substantial more excise tax than a lot of other companies do. Just bearing on flower, maybe not a lot, but definitely some more. A good portion of our top line revenue gets straight cut by the excise, and we do something a little different. We don't look at it as revenue. We look at it as as you would GST. It's not our money. It's not. It never was our money. It was basically a portion of it that needs to be paid back. However, what's been happening is that when the taps turn off on the equity side of things, and 50% or 60% of your top line's cut off, and the industry still isn't really well established. People are still in that startup phase. It's got to come from somewhere, and I think a lot of people use the CRA as an internal bank for say, and really capital. It left a lot of people at large saying, "What can we do now?" We're trying to gain market, or we're trying to get in the market. We're trying to build ourselves up, and there's no assistance, no traditional assistance for that. So I think that's nobody's fault, except for I think it's really was the last resort for a lot of players. So do I have huge hopes for it? Yeah, it'd be awesome. It really would improve our bottom line even more and strengthen our whole portfolio across the board. However, we're still running like it's never going to happen, and I think that's something that's we got to continue doing. And I haven't seen in my lifetime taxes reduced ever by a government, but
that's a good point.
I guess anything's possible.
Yeah.
We had a good conversation with with our premier in regards to this, and some of the red tape ministers, and expressing our concerns, and they were heard. However, I don't think I don't think it's going to be an immediate save all for everybody. I think you still have to operate within the framework that's given to us. Yeah. And if you can't operate within that, it is what it is. It's going to be a long ride, but if you can, not pay CEOs $4 million a year and the CFO another $4 million a year, well, then maybe you can survive, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. It's just natural right sizing businesses. Hopefully, it all sort of does its magic sooner rather than later. When we spoke last, we talked a bit about how many companies are kind of struggling right now, and how few are profitable and actually thriving, such as yourself. Are we sort of seeing kind of what we had talked about earlier? Companies that are defaulting, that are going into CCRA, that are much more challenged than they were before, or are they still managing to struggle along? Are we seeing that cleansing?
I think, Paul, I think we're starting to see it for sure.
Mhm.
I think everybody's holding on with something like a CRA functionality behind themselves, saying that if they can just hang on for another month and just don't pay CRA for another month and pay the interest on the excise taxes, it's coming back. But if that gets clamped down on, like they're saying they're clamping down on it, I think that's going to be the last straw for quite a few companies. And it's not right by any means. But it's for market share opening up for guys like ourselves that can play within that set rules, and that can only strengthen some of the companies that can do business within there. And there's very few and far between, but it definitely will enforce our position that some consolidation between 3 or 4 really good groups is going to be good for business.
Now, specific to CanadaBis, what's the competitive landscape look like now? Is it getting more competitive? Is it getting a little bit less competitive? Are you seeing bigger players, smaller players? Like, what's the landscape look like on a competition sense?
Yeah. When we brought infused pre-rolls or our resin infused pre-rolls, there was, I'm going to say 0 to 1 player that was in the market space, and very few people that could do it. And we knew the commoditization of, each segment of cannabis will come and does come, but our strength is innovation. We combat that with new products, new product lines. We have some new stuff that's going to be launching that's, again, revolutionary in the cannabis space. Now, you can only have so many ideas and so many things, but we seem to keep working very well at it, and we have that innovation pipeline that's super deep. We're always 6-8 months ahead. Where the battle comes in is we don't take as much market share as what others do. However, we maybe don't do 90 million or 100 mil top line, but at the end of the day, our bottom line still maintains the same as somebody that does. And I feel that, progressive growth is good. Making sure that our quality for the long, even though we're not being the cheap guy or the lowest end pricing, we're a core player. We don't go onto the I'm going to say the premium markets or the value markets. We stay within that core value offering, and we really play well in there, and we make our margins. We always have to adjust with some of the commoditizations, but then we combat that with some of our innovations. And I want to say we're just over right now. It seems like a lot to bounce and juggle, but where we have 6 or 8 die, we have 7 or 8 going in. What people want, they kind of get tired quite easily, unlike the old traditional Pepsi or Coke or Orange Crush offerings. Cannabis seems to be very fast paced, very moving, and people want new stuff. Call it every 3 months or 8 months. You got to provide that, or you end up being a dinosaur.
Well, you sort of partly answered my next question. Is just on the innovation side, or what we call new initiatives. So it sounds like that's one of your key differentiation points, is the ability to innovate. Maybe tell us a little bit, like what sort of directions, without, I guess, telling your secrets. Where do you innovate? How do you innovate? What direction do you go to provide new initiatives?
Well, two things, I guess. That's, it's done through new product lines, but it's also done through new markets as well. So there's still a world out there of markets that don't have 4 years ago. So we're doing two things, and I'll give you two examples. One, we're putting offerings into Quebec, find that's a space that we've never been into. So it's innovating some of the product lines that Quebec has never seen before by just formulating and putting those restrictors on THC level for what we produce here. The next one is also overseas. So I think looking at the Canadian space is great, but we're working with a couple groups, and we're definitely having product lines that's going to be launching it in European countries, and that's kind of I guess it's almost a never-ending market, or not never-ending, but it's a broad market as new countries open up, as new regulations in Germany, whatever you want to call it, decide to go recreational or medicinal. It just gives us more possibilities again and again and again. And so we don't always have to come up with new products within our portfolio, but new products within markets, is really what we're focusing on.
Oh, that's good. That's good. At this point, I want to remind everybody, if you've got a question you'd like me to ask Travis, feel free to use the chat function, and I'll make sure the question gets asked. What challenges, like what's the challenges you're facing right now running the business?
Honestly, some of our challenges are ensuring that some of our partners and our partnerships are maintained. And are our partnerships, are they current on our CA? Those are going to be in default next week. So we really are diving deep and making sure that we're dealing with good people, good solid businesses that are going to be around for the long haul for us. That's been our last couple months, is ensuring who we're dealing with and where we're dealing is, we're not going to start taking some losses on, payments or input materials or whatever it may be, because it is fairly fragile that way. And some of the ones we thought were really good that we didn't do much business with, but we thought, hey, maybe we should do business with them, have fallen in the last 3-4 months. That's really a focus on ours, is making sure that we do good business with good people. Gotcha.
So I've got a question that's come in. It kind of ties into what I think would have been my next question, but M&A. We've talked about M&A in the past. What does the landscape look like? What's your pipeline look like? And what are your thoughts around M&A?
Our pipeline looks good. We are working on initial details with several companies. As we discussed kind of offline, it's proving difficult to ensure our shareholders further down the line, 18-24 months, aren't seeing any decrease in their value in a cannabis share. We want to make sure that everything that we do is accretive, and accretive not just on a short term, but in a long term for any long term holders. That's definitely proving to be more difficult than originally anticipated. There's a lot of deals, there's a lot of scraps to pick up, but it's not what I'm looking for. I'm really looking for a 2 + 2 makes 6, to be able to create some value for everybody, not only our shareholders, but the shareholders of the individuals that might want to come under the Cannabis Capital House, or vice versa. We think it will happen. We think that getting to a much stronger top line and a positive bottom line that really has a meaningfulness to, let's say, a market or some institutional investment, it's there. It can get there, and it can get there fairly easily. It's just putting the right players together in the right order too. Because if you put, we can do 2 or 3 transactions. If we do them out of order, it's not going to create as much value as if we do them correctly. So we're working on it. That eats up 90% of my time, but it's definitely moving along for sure.
Gotcha. And then do you see sort of the question that came in was around any opportunity for quantum leap in sort of revenue increase or change in business? Do you think that stands a better chance of coming from the M&A side, or do you think that you guys have sort of the innovation within your platform to be able to significantly change the sort of the optics of the business?
We always hope for that internal growth. It's very 2 or 3 months after a launch. Some of the stuff that we really thought would hit, that we've done our research on and we've done our due diligence on the question periods and answers, hasn't. And then the other stuff that we thought, wow, this will be, maybe it sells 200 or 300 cases a month type ideas, have really taken off with flight. And so that's something that we always hope for. And we always hope that the next big thing we have in our pocket. But as we're not pharmaceuticals where you can protect that IP inevitably. So you definitely the competition's coming. You got to try and stay the course with that. So I believe the next big jump will be through M&A, and that's part of partner selection as well, as making sure we're not cannibalizing our own SKU listings, ensuring that it's an adder or a good addition for whether it's input or output materials, or it's completely different SKUs that we're offering. That is going to be the next big jump for sure. And again, we always hope for the innovation team to do their job and come up with the next big thing that rocks the market. But,
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to sort of have dual opportunities, right? Internally coming up with new ideas, and hopefully externally finding a new idea or a good business that you can purchase cheaply. The other question that's come in here is around, like, do you see, like, how long do you think this environment's going to be around for good opportunities, sort of acquisition wide? I sense that this is a window that at some point will shut. The stuff that's in trouble is going to disappear. Some companies are going to be able to right size their business so that they can start to cash flow and potentially get out and acquire as well. But you guys are in an enviable position where relatively clean balance sheet, cash flowing nicely. You're out there looking. Do you have to act quickly, or do you think you have time to be prudent in what you're doing?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, when I first started into that mind frame, I thought, we definitely have to act quickly. And I still think there is time time is very valuable on doing some of these deals. However, I'm super focused on ensuring that it's the right deal. If it's not the right deal, I don't think it matters how much time you take or don't take, or the deal goes away. Bad deals will always be on the table. Getting a right deal done is definitely going to a lot of what forms the next wave of cannabis companies. And I think we're not the only ones that are doing it. We've talked to 4 or 5 groups that are doing, looking at trying to do the same thing. But a lot of them are in negative positions, or they've, don't really have that power to push onto a, maybe they're sitting at 3 million market cap and they've, they did 25 or 30 mil top line, but nobody wants to combine those two together. It just doesn't make sense to do. So with that said, I think we're not in urgency, but we are trying to move quickly.
Gotcha. And okay, so a slightly different sort of direction, but investor sentiment. Are you noticing it's improving? Is it continuing to improve? Is it same as it was before I mean, you're getting more phone calls. What can you tell us about the investor environment right now for you guys?
We're definitely getting a lot of interest for sure.
Mhm.
I think everybody still is a little shy on the space in general, but
Mhm.
the guys that can look past what we're in and what we're doing and actually look at the business and look at the business values are for sure coming to the table and saying, yes, we want a piece. This is a great, great opportunity. We see the valuation much higher than what it currently is, coming out of, even if it stays status quo, coming out of what, the doom and gloom underneath the gray shadow of a cloud here. Definitely positivity. And I appreciate that. We really appreciate that, because I think, most people are correct with that. There is a real company here, and, we don't plan on going anywhere.
Perfect. Okay, last couple questions here. Really around as you look forward, as we look forward as investors, where do you think it makes the most sense for us to pay the sort of the most attention to? Like what kind of catalysts or maybe metrics, financial metrics, do we need to really follow to really understand you guys are going in the right direction?
I think if I was focusing on something from an outside party, if I was, in anybody else's shoes and looking at this company saying, what's next, what's going to go on. We've proven out our model of profitability, check mark. Now, can we prove that next M&A space? Can we take a company that's even, maybe a little bit positive, go in, clean it up, help out, and make that, again, a 2 + 2 = 6? My answer is yes, absolutely we can. We know that our metrics here and our style of operation is definitely transportable into 2 or 3 other entities, taking out what might be some bad OpEx or some synergies, and making definitely a stronger pro forma entity going forward. So the catalyst for me to be interested in Cannabis Capital would definitely be the M&A space, on seeing the next deal that's coming down the table and saying, yeah, I can see how maybe the company might not be as strong, but taking our philosophies and our business strategy and placing it into a 40 or 50 mil top line entity, would definitely come out the other end. So that would be my definitely takeaway, or what I would be strongly looking for.
Gotcha. And then lastly, you mentioned the word takeaway. What do you think should be the key message that we take away today from this this conversation?
We're profitable still.
That makes you a unicorn in this industry. Absolutely.
And there is, we did see a great amount of growth, and we still have that growth potential for sure. We're going to see it lows, and that's just the way some of this industry goes. But no matter what is getting thrown at us, or the trials and tribulations of this industry, we work through them, and we work through them well, and maintain that profitability. And we're proud of that. We're really proud of that. So it gives us a bit of a unique space to hang our hat and say, what we're doing is working, and it's working long term. I think we're over 24 months, just over 2 years of profitability, which this isn't our first quarter, and it's not going to be our last quarter, as far as we can see, unless something crazy happens. But we've proven that model out. Now it's time to go and make sure and see that we can prove it out in a larger scale than what we are, and we have full confidence that we can do that.
Awesome. Well, listen, I mean, like I said, you're one of very, very few companies in the industry that's managed to grow your business and be profitable. We certainly look forward to seeing what you guys can do on the M&A side. Also excited to see what you guys can do on the innovation side. So, congratulations on that so far, and hopefully you guys have managed to do quite well in sort of walking into a headwind, and at some point tailwind should show up here once the industry right sizes itself. So Travis, yeah, again, congratulations, but appreciate the time you spent with us today. Always look forward to catching up, and certainly look forward to catching up in the near future as well.
Thanks very much, gents. And again, it's always appreciated on this side. And thank you for doing what you do. We hear plenty of times that your followers are actually true investors and true people that want to pay attention to the to the nuts and bolts and not just what's a fad. So good on you.
Perfect. Well, we pride ourselves in some of the best investors out there in the Canadian microcap space, so I appreciate you saying that. Thanks again, Travis, and we'll catch up soon.
Have a great day. Thanks, guys.
Okay, cheers. Bye-bye.